morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are in the world. My name is Ingrid Jones, and welcome to this special feature, Bayloric Worldwide Television Live with Rolando Allen. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
So how are you?
I'm doing well. I'm doing well.
Great. Thank you so much for choosing to be on Bayloric TV to talk about the various issues and concerns that you have. So for those people who don't know who you are and a bit of background as to who you are, tell the viewers a little bit more about you.
Okay. Hey, my name is Rolando Allen. I am the great-grandson of Dennis Allen. He was a landowner over in Hilton Head Island. In 1897, he purchased approximately 38 acres of property over at Hilton Head. And for those of you who don't know how Hilton Head, South Carolina, one of the big issues that we have in the United States here is that original landowners have been losing their lands to scrupulous realtors, lawyers, the court systems. And so my family is in a battle to protect our land that has been left on to us through our grandfather, our great-great-grandfather. So
talk me through this. When did this all begin for you?
For me personally, for me and my family, we were brought into it in 2009. An attorney at the time, Horace Jones, and one of his associates, they contacted other family members about selling the property. And at the time, we saw a sign out in front of the property for sale, and it wasn't an agreement with everyone that this was to take place. So that's when we started having weekly and monthly family meetings, trying to smooth out these issues that we're having.
Okay, so this land is you've had for many years. Would you say an inheritance from? Because from what I read about it, it was from many years ago, from freed slaves passed down through the ancestors down through the years. Is this correct?
Well, it's partially correct, because right around the same time it was the Emancipation Proclamation, where it was the old 40 acres and a mule. This 38 acres was not from that. This was actual land that my great-great-grandfather had the fortitude to go out and purchase, thinking that he was going to set up something for his family. Now, there's been a lot of other families, and if you go back and look at the history throughout the entire east coast of the U.S., where families have had that land through that the Emancipation Proclamation, where they've lost that property from, like I said, the scrupulous deals that have taken place. And like I said, we're in the battle of our life to maintain our property, or maintain our land, for not only for just myself and my children, but my grandchildren and great-grandchildren and so forth.
So this story that you've gone about so far and talking about, how many other people know about this story in terms of media, and how has it been covered?
I didn't hear that last part.
How's your story been covered in the media? Who have the media you've spoken to so far about this matter?
We've talked to local agencies like the Island Packet. We've gotten involved with different little small organizations, but page, we have a Facebook page. We've spoken to people in the academic world. We've spoken to you name it. We've gone out and beat on doors and walked the path trying to get our message out. And this is a message that not only affects my family, it affects a lot of other families as well. And it's something that we all should pay close attention to.
So what's the process? So update me. Where are you at the moment in terms of this battle? I mean, tell us more about where the battle is at the moment in terms of legal proceedings and what's happened so far.
One of the battles is because, like I said, we've had family members who've spoken to lawyers, and these lawyers have taken on one side of the case representing some family members, and not necessarily all family members, and it's gone through the court systems. And we're at a point now where it's eerily dangerous, because South Carolina has been known to force into sales of their property, because they can't pay the taxes on it, because now these lawyer fees and these other associated fees become so high that you can't afford it anymore.
So that's a strategy almost.
Right now, we're trying to. We have family members that want to. We have family members that want to preserve the land, and we have some family members that want to sell the land. So that's the battle where we're at right now.
So it's an internal struggle with the family as well, let alone the external battles. You've got an internal battle to deal with as well.
Right. And a lot of the internal battles have been brought on by those external forces.
So the whole divide and conquer then.
Yes, because here's one of the things that the court systems have done for years is if you can't come to an agreement, we'll sell it. And that's not the right way of doing it, but that's how it is.
But that's not the court's decision. It's not the court, but it's not the court that's made the hard work to get themselves in a position to do that. So what gives the court the right to do that?
The taxes and the other ways of doing it. The associated fees that come about when you have the family members battling with each other, with the developers, then the courts get involved, and the court says, okay, the easiest thing to do is to sell it. Because you got to pay the bills.
So what ends up here is that you have an internal squabble. So the money's fought back and forth there. Then you've got an internal squabble with your families, because one set of family wants to sell the properties, other set of family wants to keep it. So you've got a struggle there, and then you've got an external struggle with those people who are snakes wanting to get in.
Yep.
And to the whole divide and conquer there. So what is going to happen here? I mean, clearly there's been some whispering in ears, and people said, well, look, we'll give you this amount of money and you can just clear off the land.
Yes. Because historically, black families have lost their properties due to different types of schemes and tactics by the local governments. They raise taxes, and then, like I said, and that's where we say the courts get involved, because the taxes go up. You can't pay your taxes. Then they say, okay, we're going to auction it off right at the court steps. They'll auction it off, and if you're not able to pay it, these developers are there to swoop in and take it over.
So is there anything in place to stop that from happening then? Surely there must be a law or something in place for that.
Yeah, that law doesn't actually kick in until January of 2017.
By then, is it too late, or is there still time?
In our case, it could be too late, because our proceedings started well before that.
So okay, where's the situation now? I know you said it's in the courts.
Yeah, it's in the
ahead.
courts right now, and we've had a motion that's been brought up to dismiss, and we're within like days of finding out what way that's going to go.
I also read up within the information I was sent about somebody who was meant to represent you and got killed or something like that. Am I correct in that?
Actually, that was one of the original lawyers who the whole process.
Right.
He was being brought up on other charges from other family members and other wrongdoings that he's done, and he committed suicide.
Wow. So he was partly to blame then.
Yes.
And it was suicide. That's suicide, or that's what they've been told?
Yeah. No, well, it was suicide. Yeah.
Wow. So how do you think people can help in this matter and in this situation? And what's the message you want to get across today?
One of the things that we say that people can help is, first, is educate themselves, educate their family members, and like I said, we have a Facebook page where you can come on. We want to get as many people to come on and like it and sign our petitions that we have on there, so we could take this information to show that, you know, we're not putting up with the same unscrupulous acts in 2016-17 that we have done in the past.
So surely better education would be key. Would you say it's a lack of education and people just chasing money?
Well, it's because of that lack of it. And you say lack of education. One of the things that I would like to say is not necessarily education that's the problem. I think a lot of it goes back to, as a family, we need to educate, or we need to tell our people, our family members, about land. I know my father, he was old enough that he was told by his father that he spoke to me about it as well. Well, for me, I didn't really relay that same information or go deeply with that same information with my children when they were younger. So if something would have happened and it was left up to them, they may not have known. They wouldn't have known how much of property, how much, anything. Big thing is have wills in place, have Have a plan in place. That's the biggest thing on the education side. Without that, you're behind the eight ball already.
Would you say then in the black community that the importance of teaching our young at an early age, talking about investment and understanding good investment from an early age is a good thing to be for us to kind of invest in?
Oh, yes, I totally agree with that. Yes,
because it seems that there's a saying that black people don't like to read too much. We don't like to read too much. We like to take information from second and third hands rather than doing the investigation ourselves. And when we do that, then we leave ourselves open to be swayed one way or the other, depending on who the person is that's trying to sway our minds.
yes, I totally agree. Because one of the things that I saw is when the property was originally put up for sale, the numbers the dollar amount looked great when if you were thinking on a small term investment. But for the long run, my family, one of the things that we talked about was three P's: protect, protect, preserve, and prosper. Because yeah, if we would sold the land originally, we'd have gotten money, we'd have had a monetary gain right then. But when you broke it down over the entire family branches, over each one of the branches, that may not have been as much because you had your lawyer fees, your taxes, and all that, and it would have been a smaller gain. Whereas if we preserve the land, we could have long time growth. Yeah, it's not going to be millions of dollars a year, but it will be something that we could have. That's for the future, because the land's going to be around a whole lot longer than we're going to be around.
I can see the game plan here. They buy you out of your property, and then they build on the property, and what they pay you for the property, which you think is big money, they make triple or quadruple the amount of money on hotels and all the rest of it, a resort, or you can see it right there.
Exactly.
And we think, oh, money. We think today. These people think long term. They're thinking 10, 15, 20, 30, 40, their children, their children's children. They're thinking legacy, and they're understanding the principles of legacy. We think for today and tomorrow.
That's right. And that's the biggest problem right there. And it's not just happening to my family and other families. It's happening to communities and cities as well. And they got this little word called urban renewal.
Okay. Yes, I've heard of that. For those people who don't understand what urban renewal is, in your own words, describe to me what urban renewal is.
Like we said, they come in, they tear down communities because they say, oh, it's not a prosperous area, it's a bad area, and then they're going to come in, tear it down, and build it up. And now those same folks who lived there before can't afford to live there once they come in, or once developers come in and they say.
Well, it's almost like gentrification, really.
Long-term thinking.
Yeah, gentrification. We've got that in the UK, where a lot of well-known black communities are considered ghettos. But as soon as the black community is forced up because they put the taxes up or they put the rent up, and you have other folk coming in, then it's considered a trendy place.
Yep.
Because then when those people move in, then they start to upgrade the properties. All of a sudden, their houses are looking much better. All the shops around are being done up. You've got more facilities there. As soon as they move the rodents out, then they upgrade the area. And so the gentrification that we've got in the UK is certainly happening in America as well. So what do you think can be done to stop this process from happening? Educating our people, one, is important, of course.
Educating our people and us putting back into our communities themselves, not waiting for someone else to help develop or redevelop our communities. We need to do it ourselves. And one of the ways of doing that is we have to maintain ownership in that land and in those areas.
So have you spoken, obviously you've spoken to your family, what have been there, apart from the monetary gain, which is obvious, have you spoken to your family about the long-term vision as to why not to sell the property and the benefits of that?
One of the things that right now that we didn't discuss was that we still actually have some elderly family members that live on the property.
Right.
That's one thing. The long term for us would be, when we talk about those three P's, is we could section off parts of the land and have a place for our elderly family members that they could come back and live on, or it could be like a vacation retreat for any of our family members to come back and stay there, you know, because it was a lot of hard work put into that place, not to just give it up so easily, you know. And then if need be, we could section off part of it, and we could, like, presumably possibly have a set up some type of a lease agreement with hotels or resorts where we could have a 99-year lease, and everyone could use the royalties from that each year, annual royalties each year, to set up some type of fund, maybe scholarships for children or something.
Of course, you can keep the land, and then whatever you build on that land can be monetarily used. Whatever money comes in can be split between the families.
Yes.
To do what needs to be done. So why sell the land? Can I not understand that? Need the money today, McDonald's style, a sort of thinking. Fast food.
Sometimes I believe that's what it possibly is.
So what happens now? You're in court with this situation. What are your chances of winning in court, and what does it really hinge on?
That's a tough question. Our chances of winning in court is, wow, that's a really good question. I say our chances of winning in court hinge on going in there and having a well thought out plan that we can get all our family members. This is the key: having all our family members to speak the same voice. You can't be one going in wanting one thing and others wanting another, because right there, that division is going to cause so much hate and discontent. One of the things that we see, and I know in the Black family, or my family, was that before this this problem here came up, the only time as a whole we got together was when someone died. Well, one of the great things I seen out of the outcome, my immediate family, with my cousins and my sisters and I, we've gotten together where we've had group conference calls at least once a week. We've created little chat groups, and we're constantly talking with each other, and it's not always about property, things like that. So the great thing so far out of it is it's brought us closer together. Now, if it could just bring all of us together, it would be in a better situation. And something like that would be one of the keys to helping us win this court case, because then we won't have that division anymore. And the people that are representing you at the court, I mean, you must have 100% trust in them, or because if not, you're on a road to, you know, a slippery road, because if the people in the court you can't trust and they're siding. Right. And that's another problem we have as well, because finding a lawyer who's willing to go up against the crookedness that's happened in that area for so long is hard, because they're not going to really want to represent you if they're the ones that's living there and they have to deal with it, because they've probably been practicing that same scrupulous behaviors anyway, so they know all the tricks and trades. Getting someone from the outside to come in is probably the only way that you can do, and having them. And have you done that in terms of having to get somebody from the outside in? Yes, on our side we have, but there's other family members that don't. So that's the other fight. And how much right do those other family members have? Did they have just as much right as you, or? Well, that's one of the great things with heirs property, because nothing was written down saying that this person's entitled to this. It's broken up amongst the heirs equally. So if you have a family of 500, and if one of those members goes and put that property up for sale, it's up for sale. That's where it gets tricky at. So why wasn't anything put in place? I mean, before this, because it's something that you could see happening. Why wasn't something put in place to prevent something like that happening? Say, look, we want to build a legacy here. We've got to put something in place for it. Why wasn't something put in place? Well, if we talked about this earlier. Well, if everyone doesn't know about it, it's kind of hard to put something in place. So you're kind of being reactive to it rather than proactive to it. Yeah, that's the biggest thing. Most of the times you'll hear these cases, they're all proactive, not reactive. I mean, reactive, not proactive. Because we had family members who you never even seen or heard of until this case started, you know. Always the way, isn't it? They pop up when there's some money or something they can get themselves. Yeah. So in terms of the elderly,
members of family you've got there, what will happen to them if this land is sold?
If the land is sold, they'll be forced to move. As simple as that. If it's sold, they'll be forced to move. And for those that were the ones that put it up for sale, did they take that into account? Probably not.
Are they aware of the historical relevance to the land?
Probably wasn't.
Can there not be a compromise between, like we spent early on, speak to the family and say, look, okay, this is what the deal will be. We don't sell the property, we don't sell the land, and you will put a contract in place so that you guys get a percentage amount of money. So the land's not sold, you'll still get some money.
Well, one of the problems you battle with that is if the land is not, and this is one of the battles we fight.
Right.
And we're going to just throw this number out here, $30 million.
Right.
Okay? If you're told that I could sell this for $30 million and I tell you not to sell it, and I'm going to give you something for it, it has to equal to what they were told that it was worth. Because in their eyes, it doesn't add up.
But don't they understand that when somebody comes onto that land, it's going to be worth probably 100 million once they've finished investing in it?
I understand what you're saying.
Do they not understand that? And that they're making pittance money. And can they not understand that an investment, if they were to invest in the land, that they would get probably more money from that afterwards?
That's the battle that we're facing right now. It's understanding the value of a dollar, or in this case, understanding the value of the property. And even as a child, if you're told that you have 2 candies, and if you waited, those 2 candies could turn into 4. No, I'm going to eat those 2 right now, and that's the mentality that we have with some folks. It's what's in it for me right now, not what's in it for me in the future.
Despite being freed as slaves, we still are trapped and slaves in our mind.
Yes.
The mental slavery is the one that beats us more than the physical slavery.
So,
I'm so sorry to hear this. I really am. So how do you deal with this on a day-to-day basis from your perspective?
What we do, one of the things that we do is we try to communicate with other family members and get more and more family members to see it. And it's not, I'm going to say our way, but see it the right way.
Right.
Looking the long term. Because like I said, in our case, my great-great-grandfather, he had the fortitude to think of his family by doing this. Now us as the heirs, we need to think that same way and think about our generations to follow us.
So how did they hear about this then? You said they weren't around before. How did they hear about it?
Well, there's family members there were family members throughout the U.S. All of them didn't necessarily live on the island, and if you didn't live on the island at the time when the sign came up, if someone didn't tell you about it, you wouldn't have known about it. My family had moved away from Hilton Head to Savannah. Although it's only an hour away, it's still miles away occasioned at times.
So who are the people actually living in the land at the moment?
They're heirs, and in some cases, heirs have actually rented out trailers and stuff like that as well.
So those people that have rented out as well and making money on that, they will lose out on it as well then?
Yes.
If you were to put it as a percentage at the moment in terms of keeping the property or keeping the land and losing the land, where is it in your mind at the moment?
I'd say 50-50.
So how do you think people listening to this story and listening to what you have to say can benefit from this, or can learn from this, or can educate others in this, or can help you in this?
As far as educating others, as a father, I would say have a living will first, so you have a plan in place. Because the biggest thing is, if there's no plan in place and you passed away, everything is goes to probate pretty much, and that causes infighting right there. So by having a plan in place, you eliminate that. Now, for us, how can you help us? Like I said, go to our Facebook page, go to our web page. We'll give you those that information as well.
Yep. And
just educate and talk to local, and see what your local government says, because you may be able to come out and start initiatives in your local government to make changes, because that's the biggest thing. We got to make changes so people can't just lose their property. And I know we talk about it as a Black family and stuff like that. This can happen to any family, not just the Black family. You know,
absolutely.
If you're not educated or don't understand that the economics, you could lose your property. You could live there all your life and be paying the taxes, and you can still lose your property.
So you say 2017, it's going to change. January 2017, what's going to change? Why is it going to change, and how does it change?
Well, the Clement Pinckney law should stop the scrupulous ways of that divide and conquer and then selling it on the courthouse steps. That's going to eliminate that. So, but the property still could, your property still can be taken from you if you're not together. It's got to be togetherness. That's the biggest thing. Got to be togetherness.
And there's no way between now and this January things can change.
By the miracle of God, anything can change. But
you're so close. You're so close to Christmas now. You're so close to Christmas now. Would the courts not be closed now, or shut up shop at some point for a delay for that?
Probably next week.
So you'll have a decision next week, you'd say?
I think it's this Friday is actually our court date.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. Well, please update us as to what happens. We want to know, regardless which way it goes, let us know what's going on, because it's something that I think people definitely want to hear more on and know more about. In terms of people being able to contact you, Rolando, how do people contact you and contact your family, or make contact and find out more about this situation?
They could go to our Facebook page. And let me make sure I get the right.
Isn't it the For Dennis Movement?
Yes. On Facebook.
For Dennis Movement. It's on Facebook, and it's For Dennis Movement on Twitter.
Yes.
See, I remembered that.
Okay.
But I will post the link inside the description box of this video, so people can contact you and just reach out to your family and see if they can support any way, shape, or form, and maybe give some extra advice somewhere.
Right. And that's the biggest thing there. The more we could get this message out, I think that's the best thing that we can do right now.